Okay, here we go. Hey, everybody.
When it comes to politics, I'm well past the tinfoil hat stage. I need a good helmet for the banging my head against the wall stage. The Kate Daly Show starts now.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
By the will of the Ukrainian people to stand up and fight. Are you?
Right now, it's a critical time because we know that we not only fight for Ukraine, we fight for this new world order for the democratic countries. We fight for this new world order for the democratic countries. We fight for this new world order for the democratic countries.
The way we're going to win over the long term is not just militarily. We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Rise and shine, fragile Americans. There's a victimhood to be claimed and microscopic germs to fear. The Kate Daly Show starts now.
Welcome, Kate Daly Show. I was off yesterday. Apologize about that. There were a lot of reasons, and I won't go into them, but I just needed, I could not do the show yesterday. So, all right, well, welcome. And I'm happy that you're listening in today or watching on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, X. You can kind of view the show everywhere. It's the Kate Daly Show everywhere you go. And appreciate that liner coming in because they always do tell you what they're doing. And the Ukraine, when I played that the first time on the air, on the radio, I was just so shocked because to have those words come out of their mouth while they're supposedly in this war, whatever that meant, and whatever that still means today. Come on. But it was just, it's strange to hear it repeated. And that was Papa Bush talking about the New World Order at the end. And it's so creepy, right? It's so creepy. And he did that on September 11th, 1990. And it was exactly 11 years. Isn't that weird? Before 9/11. Exactly 7 years to 9/11. Wild, right? Anyway, he did. He said he came out with that speech September 11th, 1990. Just thought it was weird. Anyway, so today's show, I want to start off with Iran for just a moment. Let me add this in. This is, that's the wrong one. Let me add this one in. Okay, this one. President Trump announced that he's canceled planned U.S. strikes against Iran after negotiations were elevated to the highest levels of the Iranian government and received approval from key regional stakeholders. Based on the fact that the discussions with the Islamic Republic of Iran have been brought to the highest level of Iranian leadership and approved. So I guess we wait for them to approve. Okay. And I have, as President of the United States of America, canceled the scheduled strikes and bombings against Iran this evening. remember when I said, and people actually laughed at me when I said, oh, hi, Crystal from Arizona on YouTube. All right. So listen, when this first started and I said, this will linger on because it has to, because it's going to be used as fodder for the media. Nothing's really going to happen. It's just going to keep fumbling along. And a lot of people didn't agree with me. So they kept telling me that, it would be over or, whatever we were doing. I don't know. But it was, I said, well, it would keep going and going and going because it was going to be used for the scapegoat for the higher prices. And when I saw this, it was so funny to me because it's, you have to kind of think of it in these terms. It's like, really? Like we're waiting for Iran, a little country that we could wipe out in literally 2 seconds, to approve something that we're going to do, like to approve something. Okay. Anyway, I hope people are seeing that. I really do. I hope people are actually, I do it with a heavy sigh just because it's that asinine. It's going to go on because it has to, because there has to be this continuous scapegoat for why you are drowning in costs just to live, right? You can't not drowning. That's the wrong word, but just floundering, trying to make it. And I feel this too. I mean, it's just crazy out there. So the prices of everything, we went to a burger place and I swear to you, it was like $30 for a meal. For 2 meals. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So it's crazy. And that's why we don't eat out a lot. So look, there's just so much to understand with this, but they'll keep this going on and on and on and on. And I think I was right on this one, that this is about a scapegoat. This isn't about anything else. So I also wanted to talk again about, just for a second, the USS Liberty incident. Remember, this was 1967. This was June the 8th. We just passed that anniversary. And there was a new article where they were talking about Israel dropping those bombs, napalm, so that the people on board, our guys, were boiling in their own skin. And, it makes me sick because we were not allowed to talk about the USS Liberty for the longest time. Like, we could not talk about it on the radio. It was almost like you have to kind of stay away from anything with Israel and anything with Israel being the bad guy. Like, you're not allowed to go there. And now you can. So because you can now, and because half the media is, and half the half of the media that is talking about Iran is still bought, now you kind of have to wonder why that is. So the shifting narrative and shifting way that we're sort of corralled into thinking. So this isn't like rogue people are talking about Israel. This is like, this is half of, like, a portion, I should say, of your bought media on our right side, because I'm on the right? So I'm conservative. And so it's on our right that you kind of have to go, well, how are they able to do that? And I think that they are given directions to look rebellious in doing that, because for the longest time you uttered Israel and without a good connotation, with like even just asking questions about the USS Liberty and the attack on the USS Liberty that we did nothing about, which is very telling. Then you have to kind of understand that that back then, if we did that, we would have been thrown off the air. So keep that in mind, because I know people go, well, people are talking about it more. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they're being as truthful as you think with you, because there are reasons that they want people talking about Israel right now. So there are reasons behind that. And it goes to the Greater Zion Project, how the Middle East is laid out and who owns the Middle East. But we'll go there another day. But the USS Liberty was a tragic accident, and it wounded 171 crew members. It killed 34, and we did nothing about it. We literally did nothing about that attack. We knew exactly where it came from. It was the Israeli Air Force and the Israeli Navy motor torpedo boats. And we knew that, and we did nothing. We did nothing. And they hit our guys, and we did nothing. So, Okay, so we're going to push that aside because it's just, I've done shows on the USS Liberty with Investigator Dave. I don't know if you guys remember him, but Investigator Dave. And we did some really good shows on that. If you want to look him up on, all you have to do is Google SoundCloud and then the Kate Daly Show and then the topic. And usually that particular SoundCloud, there's like 8,000 or 9,000 hours of show. You can go there and get that topic. So, I've covered a lot of ground on the show. So, okay, so I'm going to start out with the end right now, with the end game right now. Okay, I want you to really look at this graphic right here. Okay, so look at this graphic right here. So AI displaces jobs. That will happen. That is happening now. It will continue to happen more and more. Mass unemployment is going to create desperation. That's what's going to happen. The universal basic income will be offered as a solution. Universal basic income requires digital ID to receive it. Okay, you got to have the digital ID to receive it. The CBDC is programmable, and behavior determines access to income. And you comply or you starve, which basically means you comply and you really don't say anything bad about government, and you put your kids in government schools, and you do all the things government wants you to do. You register everywhere, your number is everywhere, you maybe live in a smart city. Whatever they want you to do makes you compliant and makes you get the availability of this income. Now, what's crazy about this is that Elon Musk, he's a front man. He's a CIA guy. So Elon came out and he talked about universal basic income, and then he talked about universal higher income, universal wealth income, which meant that AI is they're going to tell us that AI is creating so much wealth in this country and around the world, that you're not just going to get a basic income for your compliance, $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 a month, like your Social Security. You're going to get a huge amount of money for that. You're going to get a big old amount of money. Okay. So very interesting that, that they're changing the language of it right now, of universal basic income, because they want you to think this is the biggest plus you've ever had in your life. Okay. And that you'll be so desperate, you will literally just sign on. You will sign on for this money to feed your family. Now, the one basic thing that you're going to have to do, obviously, is create a community of people that bartered at that time. Okay. And I don't know how far off this is. It could be 15 years. I don't know. But I will say that as you're thinking about this right now, and I did an ebook on this, I did an ebook on the grassroots of this, how they're changing and putting in the deal for, how AI is bringing on a monetary new deal. So keep that in mind. So the monetary new deal is coming, the new deal part 2. So I want to go back to the first new deal. This is the first new deal, because I told you I was going to do kind of like part 2 today on this. I talked about the Nazis on Tuesday. FDR's new deal: create dependency on federal income, established an IRS withholding, built agencies that never went away, okay, and then restructured a relationship between citizen and state permanently, okay? That's a lot. A lot happened in under FDR, because he changed us to the socialists. The Germans put a Z in socialist, socialist. Okay, so now this is what AI does. So here's the New Deal, the FDR's New Deal. Now you're going to go to, and I'm showing these graphics on YouTube if you want to watch the show, if you're just listening on the stream. The stream is at katedalyradio.com, and you can just click listen and listen in your car, or listen in the kitchen, as the gal from Florida does. I love it. So here's the AI deal. Creating dependency on universal basic income. It won't be basic, though. It'll be a little more than basic. Establishing a digital ID, permanent government access to identity. Building AI regulatory agencies that will never go away, and then restructuring a relationship between citizen and state permanently. This will be the New Deal Part 2, and it's coming. And people don't see it. They don't see it at all. It's weird. I don't know why. I don't know why people aren't asking more questions about AI and why now with AI. We've had AI for a bit, but for some reason now it is just really taking hold. So part of the structure of AI displacing and then getting people to a desperation and then creating this dependency on the income is basically part of that was already started through the Project Mbridge. And this was also known as the Multiple Central Bank Digital Currency, the CBDC. So just put an M in front of that, okay? This is the bridge. It's a worldwide project, and it started in 2024 is the start date they have from the media. Okay, you never know when these things actually started, but this was based on a distribution ledger technology that facilitates this sort of like low-cost, peer-to-peer, real-time, cross-border payments and foreign exchange transactions. So what they're saying is that, oh, this isn't for people yet, but it's for the money to exchange hands between countries. And they're setting up the ledger so that the ledger, instead of taking a few days and cost, what it's going to do is get that money there instantly. So countries, Saudi Arabia can exchange money with China. But it isn't saying that it won't be for people. It isn't saying that we won't be on the blockchain, this ledger. What they're saying is that basically this is called the silent revolution for a reason, because nobody's talking about it. They're talking about Iran, right? So this is very interesting. This was September 2025. There was a piece written about it. It was this BIS project. Mbridge is weaponizing money and bypassing SWIFT. So it's the new SWIFT. They're laying down like a new track to really kind of a new train track. It's just that we're aboard that train. We just don't know it because it's not going to show itself for a little while here. Okay, so this silent revolution, this thing that's being built, all this infrastructure is going in right now. It's all going in right now, and we must see it. We must. I don't know how else to say it. So let me go back to this. Okay, so over the next 3 to 5 years, AI will displace jobs. It will be sort of championed as creating wealth for all of us because it's working on automatic. Okay, this is how it's going to lay out. So it'll be on automatic. So it's going to be kind of, you've seen people say, use AI and then you can make $1 million a month. Okay, that will be on steroids. So what they're going to do basically is have AI displace the jobs, a lot of jobs, because people will just be turning to AI to save money. You don't have to have employees and things like that, right? You can just have AI do it. You can have AI be your accountant. You can have AI be your marketer. You can have AI do your logo, your website, your software, your everything. And you don't have to, it's free right now. Now, little AI Sam came out and did say that that it would be charged kind of like as much AI that you use, you will be charged for like a utility bill. Interesting. So he just made that announcement. Sam also is a front guy. He's a front guy. They're both front guys. So just so everyone's clear, the mass unemployment that will create the desperation, I think there's also going to be weather events around that time. And I think that the weather events plus the unemployment creates such a big desperation that you would be willing to go that route. You would be willing to go UBI. I do. And then the digital link, the digital ID linked to the CBDC wallet, everything's sort of going in right now. And that's why I wanted to do this today, is because I don't think a lot of people are really understanding that this is 3 to 5 years away. This is not like a long time. because you're going to start noticing 2027 and 2028 that people are searching for work because their AI has now become the catalyst for companies and people with sort of those jobs that they're not the CEO, anyone else. Unless you are a person working in the trades, you cannot be replaced. I mean, or you can be replaced. So in the trades, you can't be replaced. And so I would definitely right now be thinking about that as far as the future, helping your kids and grandkids kind of understand where to place themselves in this. And also to create a community where you have people around you that do not want to become part of this system and can't be compliant because they have a backbone. So they can't be compliant to that. So, I was kind of looking at World War II, and I was talking about the Nazis, right? And boy, have they overused this terminology. And it's so annoying, to tell you the truth. It's just so annoying that we have to talk about everything in Nazi terms, right? But I did want to mention this because I kind of thought it was interesting. Tesla died in 1943, right in the middle of the war. Bretton Woods, 44 countries in New Hampshire in July, deciding the fate of the digital currency, actually not digital, the currency, the dependence on the dollar, oil becoming the dollar, right? And all of that happened right during the war. And then the war ended. Bretton Woods was over. We had Tesla's technology. We don't know where part of it went. Still to this day, we know that he was capable of doing a lot of things. And those pieces of technology are used today. So, the frequency stuff that Tesla did, the military, the HARP program in Alaska came from this. He discovered that resonant frequency could heal tissue, destroy structures, transmit power wires wirelessly, potentially alter consciousness. And so he had the Tesla ionospheric research. I can't talk today. But he also could manipulate weather, disrupt communications, potentially affect human cognition at scale. There were a lot of things. And the Nazis, which is kind of like a hillbilly term that I said on Tuesday, it was a creation of it was actually a creation of the Jews to call the Jews Nazis. The Nazis didn't call themselves Nazis. They were socialists, national socialists. But the work, so Germany was completely obsessed with Tesla, the directed energy weapons, the rest, the technology, the free energy, the anti-gravity theories. So we had Operation Paperclip. We took all those scientists. We did not really prosecute them. We took them in and they became our government. So I mentioned this on Tuesday, right? So Tesla did not lose to Edison, as the movies like to say. It was stolen from him. And then, of course, he died just sort of like a horrible death. It wasn't good. And they got from him everything that they could, right? So so I just want to go through this timeline really fast. So Tesla dies January 7th, 1943. Bretton Woods is 1944. World Bank and IMF are created in 1944. 1945, Germany surrenders. Same year, Operation Paperclip begins. Our media gets destroyed with people from the CIA and these Germans coming over that we wanted to come over. United Nations created, CIA created, Roswell happens in 47, right? CIA created in 1947. Antarctica Treaty, 47, the negotiations began. 49, they tied that up with a bow. And then 52, NASA created. So in that very, very short period of time, while everyone was talking about war, as we are today, talking about, Ukraine, not Ukraine as much as Iran, but war, right? As everyone's talking about war, these are the things that are going on. So free energy disappears forever because JP Morgan couldn't put a meter on the free energy. And so he shut down his funding for Tesla. And then oil becomes the global currency of power. And then the petrodollar locks every nation on earth into energy dependence. So there were 80 trunks. We don't know what happened to them. And here we are. So when I was looking at this and I was thinking, what was the war really about? and of course Bretton Woods and Tesla's information all came up. There's always financial reasons. There's always a stealing of something, whether it be financial, technology, whatever it is. There's always something way more going on. And that's what it is for us today. We are, we just don't frame it in the same way. We just don't talk about it in the same way as we did World War II. So right now we have war going on. We have all these distractions, but the train tracks are being built right now for the digital ID. But the UBI, the Universal Basic Income, that is what's important to them. They want everyone dependent for compliancy directly on the government, because it makes us very docile people. So I mentioned that because I just thought that was important, that we actually really realize what's going on here and really see it for what it is. We look back on the New Deal, and as conservatives, we are like, it actually was terrible for us, right? Turned our country inside out and started a lot of the socialist programs. What we don't see is what we're doing today with that. So what we don't see is what's happening to us right now. And that is a shame, because if we don't see it, how can we prepare for it? That's why I do these shows, is you can't prepare for it if you don't see it. So, okay. So I want to go back here. And I talked about the M Bridge. By the way, the M Bridge, those train tracks that are being built for all the countries to swap money without SWIFT, the Bank of International Settlements just pulled out of that. They just withdrew. Like what, a day ago, a couple days ago, digital for the digital cross-border payments. And then, it's really strange. And then what they said was, the BIS said, M-Bridge, I'm quoting here, was not created to serve BRICS and cannot serve as a means to violate sanctions, but the countries supporting the project, including China, Thailand, Saudi Arabia, Hong Kong, and the UAE, can continue to work on it independently based on the key technology proposed by China. When I say we're in bed with China, I think we very much are. I don't think they're an enemy at all. I think we're very in bed with them. So they actually are going to continue on with this. But the BIS slipped out. So very interesting. You always got to watch these things. These are the things we actually need to watch for sure. But back to this. This is what is going to hurt us the most. AI displaces jobs. Mass employment creates desperation. UBI offered as a solution. And it will be more money than what they're saying. And then, of course, the digital ID linked. Yes. But for them, I think what we miss sometimes is the fact that this is very much a product of, how do I say this? It's a product for the financial part of this is bigger than you think. The digital ID is what comes in after. Okay, it's how it's done. But whenever they recreate, like they did with Bretton Woods, whenever they redo this country, usually they have a distraction going on. And then, of course, World War II. And then, of course, what they do is come in with this solution already packaged up. But the digital ID, the UBI is actually very important to the New World Order. It's very important that everybody sign on to that. And I don't know what will happen to those that don't, but I do know that that is a huge piece of this financial piece, okay? And it has to be for them, because this is how you get total control over somebody's bank account, total control over their day-to-day. You can't walk into a store without being compliant. You can't access your money without being compliant. So there's all of that to kind of contend with. And it's not to be that person today, but to honestly just tell you that after really researching this and looking into this, it's a little freaky. It's a little freaky what we're doing now. And I honestly think that the Nazi thing was sort of engineered. Not that they didn't exist. It's just that the name, the enemy, what they were doing was real. except for the fact that it was a very manipulated thing. And that's why we took them in here. That's why they became the head of our agencies. That's why we didn't do anything to them. That's why we shared technology, Tesla's technology. We shared everything with them. And there was also the creation of their BND, the German Secret Service, or not Secret Service, the CIA of Germany, which never gets talked about, by the way, never gets talked about. So, yeah. So there's a lot to this. And I went down some pretty big rabbit holes on this just because I really wanted to understand what it was they were truly, truly doing. And the hardest part of this was kind of getting to what they were really setting up through all these things. Now, the Democrats, the liberals, tend to think that the corporations are at the helm. AI will tell you that the corporations are at the helm. The regulations are the bad guy. That it's really boring, and that there aren't people that do these things, that they're not controlling the world. But I want to say that if you really look at how it's being done, the train tracks that are laid at certain times for the outcome that they want, there has to be people at the helm. You could never do that just bumping around regulation. But leftists consistently try to tell you that it's just boring, it's just this, and of course, none of the stuff that we ever talk about is real. There's no new world order. It's not run by anybody, but we know that it is. These groups meet. They meet often. So all I'm saying is that the lie of it's boring and regulation is not it. It is so much deeper than that, because you would have to know what steps to put in and when. And it is 100% designed, 100% designed, because you couldn't get all those parts working together like that effectively. So Tesla wanted to give humanity free energy, but he was destroyed professionally, financially, in every single way, right? He died with $0. They seized his work. They told everybody that he didn't really invent very much. They even gave some of his inventions away, like the radio, and Thomas Edison took credit for many, many things. And you were never supposed to look at him, but he was a big, important piece of what was going on during World War II that no one really talked about at the time. He died. No one really talked about it because we had a war going on. So nobody really knew the circumstances, that sort of thing. So yeah, so he gets all the papers seized, and the war ends maybe a little faster because these pieces, that and Bretton Woods, were put into place. You have technology that can harm people. You have directed weaponry, directed energy weaponry. You have all these things that the government has now. Remember Venezuela recently? Yeah, they said, people on the ground said that was a directed energy weapon. So you have all of these things going on. The petrodollar system locked every nation, right, into energy dependence. And then this global currency of power, you had these things happen, but no one ever talks about it in that way. So I wanted to, for a minute, just because I think sometimes we just have a hard time connecting those dots. And then taking a look at it and saying, okay, well, how is it working today? What are we doing today? And I'll tell you what, this new deal, this right here, this AI deal, creating dependency on UBI, then establishing, see, this is first. This is why I wrote that ebook about it. You can go to katetalks.myshopify.com and grab it. This is why I wrote the ebook, because this is what happens. And then the result of that, the next step, isn't as important as the UBI. You have to get everybody in the train car, right? You have to get everybody to the point where they say, yes, I'll come. Then you bring them to the destination of the digital ID. That's how it works. Then the digital ID is just the next step. But you have to convince everyone, and you have to create major desperation to the point where the dependency on UBI happens. And that's what people are missing. I'm not hearing any talk show host talk about this. And I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I do know why, actually. Okay. And so then the building of the AI regulatory agencies, all that will never go away. But this is where the leftists kind of get it wrong. They concentrate on regulatory. They did a study, and you know me in studies, but they did it because you can get it to go whatever way. But they did do a study, and the study showed that people don't have zero impact on policy. They can't get policy to change. But I think that there's just not enough awake people to do that. And if we had enough awake people seeing all of this, maybe we could register some change. Even microscopic, who knows? But I think this is important to understand right here. The first thing will be UBI. They have to create extraordinary circumstances for us to go into UBI. That's why AI is more of a front. It's more of a front. They can print the money. So it's a front. And what it will do is it'll say, this is the engine. This is the vehicle that's taking away your job. So now you got to board this train. Okay. You got to board this train because there's no other way to travel. So you're going to get in the train. And then, of course, the digital ID comes after that. That's the piece that's missing. Okay. And then the restructuring of the relationship between citizen and state permanently, which means government has control. Government gets to decide. Government puts out their regulations of how much meat somebody can eat, how much water somebody gets. And that was actually in the papers for the 2030 and the 2050. So that's kind of interesting because they were already pointing to how much water somebody should have. And the amount of water that they think that you should have, by the way, I think it was the 2050. Maybe it was the 2030 papers, but it was a shower and a half of water. That's it. Just somebody taking a shower in your house. And I'm talking about doing the dishes. I'm talking about drinking. I'm talking about everything. You had enough water for one person and a half to take a shower. Yeah. Very small amount of liters of water. So what do we do about this? Creating dependency on UBI. What do we do? And that's going to be a crucial question for a lot of people because right now you might be able to position yourself more ahead of the game a little bit, maybe in a way that you don't fall under this as much, the dependency. And that's why I wrote the ebook at katetalks.myshopify.com on AI, so that you can understand how they did it and then the solutions as far as to why or how you can kind of get above it a little bit and maybe just kind of position yourself. Everybody should be learning a trade right now. Everybody should be. So this is, the SAVE Act. Thank you for that. The SAVE Act requires the passport or state issued ID claiming to be a U.S. citizen in order to vote. See, that's a double-edged sword because we want that because you don't want illegals voting, right? They think it's going to clean up the voter rolls. But really what the SAVE Act is, and I'm conservative, right? All the conservatives are on board, right? But what the SAVE Act is basically making the digital ID that's coming, laying down more tracks for that, sadly. And why do I say that? Because honestly, at this point, it doesn't really matter whether illegals vote or not because the voting is rigged. So it has been since 2004. So it doesn't really matter. So they're trying to make this the savior of the elections instead of saying that the elections are fixed. Okay? It doesn't matter how many times you cram a ballot box. It doesn't matter how many times you do that. Because it's fixed. It's done. That's why the races are so close, right? So all the way down to local races. So I wanted to give you kind of this piece of the puzzle today. I felt like there's so many things that I could talk about, but when you're kind of piecing together history and you're looking at the patterns in history, I think some of the crucial things that were happening during World War II were lost. During World War II, what really came out of that was completely overhauling. Like I said on Tuesday, you had a 10-year window where every single thing was overhauled. Every single thing changed. We got the United Nations, the World Bank. I mean, we got everything. We got the CIA. We got everything. Everything changed while the war was going on. But what I didn't mention was Tesla's death, right? And his technology that's used today. and will be used in the future. And also the Bretton Woods, because Bretton Woods gets overlooked because it happened in July of 1944. It kind of gets overlooked. Then the war concluded a year later. So just kind of going back in history and really examining the patterns that we need to look at and understand then what's going on now. There have been a lot of comments about the things changing in AI, the things that are going to be changing from AI to the digital world, things said by the IMF, things said by Elon Musk, things said by Sam, and everyone's kind of pointing to things are going to change, and it's not going to be that long away. So I'm talking like 2029, maybe 2030, but we have a lot of stuff going on. And like I said on Tuesday, CERN is down for 4 years. That was really strange. And I was like, are they down because they can't be used as a scapegoat for manipulating weather? There was a lot of talk about CERN being able to manipulate weather. Yeah. And don't forget, 21 of the 23 countries that fund that when we're on the treaty for Antarctica are also the same exact countries, 21 of the 23 that actually fund CERN. There's a huge connection there. And I will find it. There's a big connection there because they're both invested in both. So how is it getting used? Who knows? What will happen? Who knows? But I did want to just come on today and kind of put this little bug in your ear, because this dependency on UBI, very, very important to them, that they create whatever needs to be created to take a seemingly, I have to say seemingly free people because we're not as free as you think, seemingly free people, and get them to a point of dependency that they are willing to take the money monthly from the government. They can't get digital ID unless people are willing to take UBI, universal basic income. They won't be able to. They have to get people on board first. So if you had a awake populace that said no to UBI, right? You had too many people saying no, just like they did with the vaccines. You have too many people saying no. Then there's a chance. There's a chance. So I was kind of wondering how they were going to do it. Like, what were the steps going to be? And these basically are the steps. So just so you guys know. And the hardest part is going to be being in a state of desperation and not going for it and not taking the money. That's going to be the hardest part. But I think that right now, if we were kind of saying this and saying this and saying this so people were prepared for it, maybe there's a chance. Who knows? Somebody was asking me how Tina Peters is. Good from what I hear. And I had her on the show a couple of times. Tina Peters was released from prison when I was off the air. And I just wanted to give a big shout out to that because she's solid. She's great. And she was the one that was trying to tell people that the voting was rigged, and then they put her in prison. So, okay. Also a comment, there's a lot of us that are being pushed very close to accepting UBI. Yeah. Oh, I definitely agree, Lynn. Thank you. Yes. There are definitely mechanisms happening right now that will push people to want this. And when Elon started just barely changing the language to it and saying that it's not basic, it's wealth, you're going to live on a nice income, not basic, nice. People will go, hey, if I don't have to work and AI is so busy on automation, creating wealth for us, we will believe it. People will believe it. They will believe that that's what's happening. I don't think that's what's going to be going on. I think it's used as a front, but it's a big enough and impressive enough piece of technology that people will believe that it's on automation creating money for us and that we all just get to live on this money, and they will not understand the strings attached. And boy, are there going to be strings, and it's going to be bad. And I worry about my kids, my grandkids. I do. I worry about the people after us. I know how we all are, right? I know the generation I come from, but man alive, this isn't going to be pretty. This is going to get much harder. Because why? Because you have a carrot. You have a carrot that you can have. I mean, this is, the dangling carrot. It's going to be hard to resist it for sure. But UBI. So keep your eyes on that piece of it, because you're going to hear Elon and these guys talking about it more and more. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Hi there, Kate.
Hey.
And the more we go into debt, the realization that the U.S. citizens are the collateral.
Yes.
And that's what we're going into.
Yes.
We're the collateral.
We're the collateral.
And then you think too about like this K-shaped economy. And I think about people that have so much money, and I wonder how they're going to capture them. And the more assets that you have, when they go digital, the more difficult it's going to be for you to give it up.
Yes, you're right.
See how ironic it is?
You are right. Yeah.
The more you have, the more golden bars you have around you, and you'll go for it.
I know. It makes me sad. And that's why maybe right now, this is exactly why the talk show hosts out there aren't talking about UBI. They're only talking about digital ID. Did you notice? Yeah. Because they want people to go for it. They don't want to prep people. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
And may I say this too? Like I'm hearing about these 50-year mortgages.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine? Yeah. So it's just going to drive the prices up even more.
Yep.
And like Klaus Schwab says, like you'll own nothing and be happy.
Yeah.
So on paper, maybe you'll own it. That's collateral, but in reality, you're just going to be paying the bank's interest. Same thing with these auto loans, 84 months or whatever. It's just.
It's a way to up the price, but still lock people in too. So just more debt. I so appreciate you. Thank you. Love the phone calls. Thanks so much. So let me give you this piece of it. Okay. So Sam Altman, Mr. AI, notice how Altman starts with an A anyways. Sam Altman, May 2023. Okay. 3 years ago. So here he is, a tech CEO. Okay. He's a front man, but he's a tech CEO. He's a spook. Okay. He's a spook that they hired to be the very weird face of AI, because he just looks really wussy and strange. But anyway, looks like he's got an illness. But so here he is, a CEO tech, and he voluntarily goes to Congress. Okay. And he asks to be regulated. Now think about that for just a minute. He asked to be regulated. Why would somebody do that? That never happens. Okay. So why would a CEO of the most powerful AI company in the world ask to the government to regulate him? Because regulation at that scale will kill the competition. So they're the only ones, okay? Only established players that the government approves, creates government partnership, okay? So OpenAI becomes infrastructure. They're laying the tracks down, ladies and gentlemen, legitimizes the system. Okay, so he's saying, you regulate me, you make me legitimate. Okay, he wasn't asking to be controlled. He was asking to be the only game in town. Usually they don't ask for that. Usually you don't want government regulating you, but he asked for that. So keep that in mind, because that was a really, really big step of this, was all these little pieces. So remember during COVID, because it was a lie, COVID, remember the IMF, they had the special drawing rights, okay? And they actually took more money in 2021, right smack in the heart of COVID, when everyone was just trying to figure out what the hell was going on. The IMF issued $650 billion in special drawing rights, largest SDR issuance in IMF history, by the way. Okay. So a lot of stuff is going on. The BIS was building the infrastructure. That project Enbridge was part of that infrastructure. It's part of the train tracks that they're building for the system that captures the control over your bank account. Once they are your employer, they give you money, you sit home and they give you money in your account, they can take it away that fast. They can give it or take it. If you're saving too much and you're buying too much prep stuff, maybe they penalize you. You have too many guns in your house, so they start penalizing you $1,000 a month. I'm just saying, There's a lot of ways they can control this. So this new Bretton Woods in 2020, okay, because it's like a new Bretton Woods New Deal 2 is really what's coming. It's bigger than what's been in place before, the overhauls before. So in 2020, Gordon Brown, former UK Prime Minister, called for a new Bretton Woods moment to restructure the global economy post-COVID. It's exactly what they're doing. 2024 was Project Enbridge. Okay. You guys do remember the language in the Project for a New American Century, right? Right before 9/11, and it called for a new Pearl Harbor, right? New Pearl Harbor moment. Okay. This is a new Bretton Woods moment, much more important to the deep state. Yeah. So the IMF in 2023, Kristalina said CBDCs can replace cash. I'm one of those who believe we should not jump to say no to CBDCs. I'm sorry. There is use for them. Okay. They're also the IMF is actively helping 111 countries develop CBDC frameworks, 111 countries simultaneously. All these little pieces. Christine Lagarde, okay, the president of the European Central Bank on digital currency, said a digital euro would ensure that citizens of the digital age continue to have access to a safe form of money. What she didn't emphasize was the programmable digital currency can have expiration dates, spend it or lose it. Approved purchase categories, can't buy certain things. Geographic restrictions, only works in certain areas. You can't leave your area without maybe going through so many hoops it wouldn't be worth it. Social credit integration, behavior affects access, not just spending, but even access to the money. So this isn't theoretical because the Chinese have their digital yuan already has expiration dates built in. If you don't use it, you lose it. And then, of course, Klaus Schwab. Wow. The pandemic represents a rare, but I would say it in a Nazi accent, but I don't have a good Nazi accent. But he said the pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world. It was used, you guys. It was so used. It was such a lie. You know, there was a person asking on Facebook today on a page, and they said, what was it all about? What was COVID all about? I'm like, it was a lie, start to finish. It was just the flu. They just recategorized it. Flu and pneumonia and everything else in between. 90 symptoms. It's a lie. Yeah, Andrew Yang, you guys remember him, right? 2020 presidential campaign. Okay. Brought the UBI mainstream into America, kind of talked about it endlessly, right? Total socialist, loves the idea of UBI. Called it freedom dividend. So that wording, look for that wording to appear again. Freedom dividend. $1,000 a month to every American. Now he runs the Forward Party. His entire platform is built on this. AI displaces jobs. Government provides income. Population stabilizes. The population doesn't stabilize. The population just gets controlled. That's what people aren't saying. It doesn't get stabilized. Okay. Yeah. Elon Musk on record. Remember how I said that the income itself, right? The income. This is his quote. You ready? For the UBI. I think we'll end up doing, did you guys catch that? Will end up doing, because he's a CIA guy, universal high income, not universal basic income. I called it wealth before. It's high. So universal high income. You give it a fancy name, slap apple pie on it, people will love it. And then he said, there will be so much abundance that hopefully we can do because it's already in the works to be done, a universal high income. Yeah. That's where we're going. The WorldCoin connection is critical. So most people focus on ChatGPT. They're looking at kind of like the wrong thing. And WorldCoin scans your iris. It creates a world ID. And the stated purpose is to prove you're human. You know how you always have to prove you're human on all these websites, right? That you're not a bot? They're so conditioning us right now. Prove you're human to receive AI generated wealth distribution. Your freedom dividend. It's your dividend, like you're part of a corporation. So the infrastructure for global UBI distribution already exists. Scanned your eyeball to verify your identity. And then before AI even fully displaces the workplace, you know, why build the distribution infrastructure before the displacement completes, right? There's just so much going on here. So I will have, oh my gosh, his name just slipped me. Oh my gosh, his name just slipped me. I have him on all the time for economy. We'll have him on again. And I'm always excited to talk to him to kind of see where things are at. He's always watching Japan too, to kind of see where Japan's at, because they're a sister country. Anyway, yeah, AI, UBI, UHI, global restructuring. All the patterns are there to be recognized, that when we're in war, always look for what's going on financial around the corner. Like what's actually happening under the hood is really what I should say. Ooh, it ain't good. It ain't good. But the reason I'm telling you this is not to be the big bummer in the room. It's because right now, if I can help in some way to be, to put it out there, because people aren't, if I can help in some way to help you kind of think outside the box a little bit, to kind of reconfigure things so that you can be prepared for it, then all this is worth it. Because usually what we're saying on the show is stuff that isn't being said by the other mechanisms of media. Okay. So take it for what you will, but maybe if we looked at it the way it's coming in a little differently, rather than just always concentrating on the result, rather than the mechanism of how they're going to do it, and be ready for whatever comes. I actually do think they're going to create a little weather warfare too. Losing your job is one thing, but you lose everything. You lose, I mean, we have major disruptions in weather. That would make people, I would envision that would make people enough happening that they would basically say yes to anything. So I wanted to bring that up, because the more we could be ready for this, the better. The more we can prepare our kids and grandkids for this, the better. I think. I don't know about you guys. Make sure and get over to katetalks.myshopify.com, buy the ebooks. It supports the research and it keeps me doing this. And then also katetalks.myshopify.com. That deal is still in play, by the way, a 2-for-1. There are more ebooks dropping, and go get some Cardio Miracle, because Cardio Miracle is amazing. And I have it every morning. You can actually even mix fiber into it too, and it tastes really good. And it kind of hides like the fiber taste. If you're taking fiber, it's great. It's phenomenal. So cardiomiracle.com/Kate. Go try it. There's a money back guarantee. It's solving all kinds of issues, all kinds of problems, all kinds of things that start that disease process. So please go get Cardio Miracle. It's got everything in it. And where do I get my supplements? I'm being asked. FormulaIQ.com. FormulaIQ.com. Put in the code Kate and you'll get them at a great price. And I really appreciate you guys listening in today. I just kind of wanted to make sure that we're seeing what's going to happen in the right way, so that we understand it, so that we can prepare for it. Because that's the number one thing right now, is to prepare for it. Go get the cancer ebook so that you can help yourself through that. Because when you're dealing with health, and it's all you can think about because it's your health, because it affects your life, then I'm all aboard the please get better, so that you can have all hands on deck kind of sentiment. So please go get healthy. That cancer ebook is also preventative too, because everything it's telling you to do are the things that prevent the cancer. So 1 in 2 gets cancer now, sadly. So between that and taking cardiomiracle.com, I'm giving you some good stuff. So make sure you at least order it and try it. Cardiomiracle.com. You will see a difference if you use it twice a day. Once a day isn't going to work. But if you use it twice a day, you're going to see a huge difference fast. So please be taking that. It's full of fruits and vegetables. It's full of mechanisms to get those things into your cell and vitamin D delivery. And take off the sunglasses this summer. Let your eyeballs see the sun. It regulates your thyroid. And there's a lot of problems with constant use of sunglasses. And stop slathering on chemicals in your sunscreen, because that is causing a lot of stuff too. They just completed a study. I wish I had it right in front of me, but they just completed a new one that talked about the dangers of sunscreen. And I did this show years ago because I said, look, sunscreen is the mechanism in the summer. Everyone is just slathering themselves up and down, but it's actually causing a lot of the problems. So you can get even chemical-free sunscreen, but I would urge you to get some sun and make that part of your day, and take off your sunglasses. Yeah, when the Hawaiians started wearing sunglasses all the time, they got a lot of problems in the islands. There's you can go look that up. There's a whole bunch of research on that too. But I so appreciate you. I love research. So I want to continue to keep looking and doing research. We've got to look at what we're not seeing. Because as these tracks get laid and the system gets laid, we have to figure out ways to evade it. We've got to figure out ways that we can be prepared for it. And with AI, how can you position yourself in AI? By those that use AI, how can you position yourself? That's in the ebook. So it tells you exactly what AI won't be able to do. And so if you're afraid of losing a job, then go get the ebook on AI at katetalks.myshopify.com, because it's important. It's an important read. So and half the book's dedicated to that. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for listening in. Be faithful, be fearless. And I will see you back here on Tuesday. And thanks for listening in. It was great to have you. And thanks for your comments. I really appreciate those. Thank you. KateDalleyRadio.com.